Let's do it from the top! And do it right this time! None of those weird lyrics from yesterday. I just want to celebrate another game we're winning. I just want to celebrate. Sens win 4-1 over the Los Angeles Kings. 2 in a row. 2 in a row. The Sens hadn't won 2 games in the last month. And now we have 2 in a row? Times are good in Sensland this week. And hey, 2 points climbed us out of last place. And second last place. And third last place. 2 wins, and all of a sudden the Sens go from last place to fourth last place. And another 2 points would jump them over New Jersey, Chicago, and St. Louis too. It's funny. If you look at the standings right now, no, the Sens have no shot at a playoff spot, being 13 points behind the Sabres who have 2 games in hand. But they are in a dogfight at the bottom. They are 2 points out of last, and 3 points out of 10th last. If the Sens can get on a little bit of a run, they'll pull themselves out of a bottom 10 pick. And without their pick this year, that would make things a lot more bearable. Please make that happen. As always though, let's kick things off with lineup changes. After a solid effort on Wednesday, Anders Nilsson returned to the goal on Thursday, playing both games of the back-to-back. On the blue line, Ben Harpur drew out with a minor injury, and Christian Wolanin drew in. Up front, the same 12 forwards who drew in against the Ducks did so again against the Kings. In the early going, it didn't look like the Sens were too tired from their game against the Ducks, as they took control early, firing the first 3 shots at the Kings' goal, but the Kings would eventually take over. The Sens hang around for the first half of the period, but a Jake Muzzin hit on Colin White during a Sens power play completely changes the momentum of the period. The Kings killed off the penalty and took over from there, outshooting the Sens 14-6 for the remainder of the period. That hit, it would prove huge too, as it not only turned the momentum of the game, but it knocked White out of the game. The Sens rookie did not return to the game, was returned to Ottawa after the game, and is expected to miss at least 2 weeks. On the same power play, Nilsson turns aside a Martinez chance, and then sees Carter ring one off the post on a breakaway. 2 excellent Kings chances on the same Sens power play. Come on now. Mark Stone then tries to return the favor, dekes through Kovalchuk, and gets a good look while the Sens are short-handed, but Quick turns him aside, and the game is still tied at 0. Both teams have additional chances, neither find the back of the net, and we head to the first intermission with that game still tied at 0. The Kings continue peppering Nilsson early in the second, and they're finally rewarded. Wagner fights off a check from Nick Paul and takes a puck back to the blue line before feeding Muzzin. He throws one on goal, Kyle Clifford gets the tip, and the Big Red Dog beats Nilsson to give the Kings a 1-0 lead. It's a good thing someone covered Clifford in front. Not. It's the same old story, same old song and dance, my friends. The Kings continue pressing, but the Sens hang on long enough to assert control. Ironically, after a hit gives the Kings momentum, a hit then gives the Sens the momentum. Brady Tkachuk is plowed into the boards on a blatant check from behind by former Sen Dion Phaneuf. Like I'm talking straight in the numbers, with the referee standing right beside them, and he doesn't make a call. Tkachuk then decides to ignore Phaneuf and instead skate to the bench without retaliating. That proved huge, as the Sens would use that to turn the game around. Mad Max's shot goes off the crossbar a few minutes later, but the Sens wouldn't be denied forever. The Sens win the battle on the face-off, and the puck gets back to the point to Lajoie. He sends it cross-ice to Dzingel, who goes back across the ice to Ryan. His first shot is stopped, he picks up the rebound, fires it home, and just like that, we're tied at 1. Ryan again! For the second game in a row, the former California native has tied the score. And the goal extends his point streak to 6 games, where he has 3 goals and 4 assists in that span. But the Sens aren't done there. Not even 2 minutes after Ryan makes it 1-1, the Sens strike again. The Sens dominate the shift before Chris Tierney says, "It's my time to shine. There isn't a soul in the Kings who's gonna stop me now." Chris Tierney picks up the puck behind the Kings' goal and carries the puck up the boards towards the blue line. He fights off the check of Thompson before pushing Thompson off of him and sending a pass into the middle to Mikhail Bodker. The puck bounces off Bodker's stick, and Tierney races in to pick up the loose puck. He then fires the puck under the arm of Quick and in the goal to give the Sens a 2-1 lead. Chris Tierney, man, what a goal! With Duchesne not on the trip and Colin White out of the game, we were going to need a huge game from Tierney. We got that. This goal showed exactly that kind of effort, and man alive, what a goal. Tierney's goal would stand up through the end of the second, as the Sens take a 2-1 lead into the third period. Heading into the final period with a lead, I have to admit, I wasn't overly excited to watch the third. I actually tweeted after the second and begged the guys to keep playing. Much to my surprise, they actually did. Martinez's clearing attempt fails while Landon picks up the puck and fires it towards the goal. It somehow gets in the net, and the Sens lead 3-1. Alright, this was an unassisted goal, but let's be honest, Brady Tkachuk deserved an assist on that one. The Sens rookie parked himself right in the face of Quick, who never had a chance to see the puck by the youngest Tkachuk. Jake Muzzin deserves a shout-out as well, as he booted the puck into his own goal trying to block the shot. The Sens now lead 3-1 with 17.5 minutes to play. Sure, the cushion is nice, but this game is far from over. The Sens know this and do a solid job of wearing out the clock. The Kings have some chances, but Nilsson is equal to the task. Late in the period, with the Kings looking to cut into the Sens lead, Quick goes to the bench, and the Sens get a free goal. Tierney and Smith work the breakout, and Tierney races in one-on-one against Doughty. He goes through Doughty's legs, hits the empty net, and gives the Sens a 4-1 lead. And that's how things would end, as the Sens win 4-1. Again, that's 2 in a row for the Sens. But as awesome as it is that they won 2 in a row, we do have to take it with a grain of salt. They beat the Ducks, who haven't won in 10 games, and they beat the Kings, who are the worst team in the NHL. So it's not like they're the best wins ever, but a win's a win's a win. And the Sens have 2 of them on back-to-back nights. And both nights, they actually looked pretty good too. As always though, let's get in to good news, bad news. My segment today is going to be a direct tie-in between the good news and the bad news. And to change things up a bit, we're going to start with the bad news. Colin White was forced to miss the rest of the game and has been ruled out for a couple of weeks, and that is the bad news. The biggest part of that bad news comes Saturday, when they have to face the Sharks. Matt Duchene is not expected for that game, as he continues to be with the wife following the birth of their first son, and now White has been ruled out as well. That leaves Chris Tierney, J.G. Pajot, Zach Smith, and Nick Paul as the only regular centers on the Sens roster. Not exactly a terrible center lineup, but certainly not great either. Losing Duchene and now White completely changes the makeup of the team. It means instead of being able to roll with a fourth line of something like Pajot, Smith, and Pajärvi, who could be used in a shutdown role, you instead have to split up Smith and Pajot and likely play Pajot on the second line. Do I think Pajot is capable of playing as a second line center in a regular season? Yes. This season, I'm not so sure. First of all, it's way too early in his return to ask him to play such a role. And secondly, is he even capable of doing it yet? Missing the whole season and jumping in halfway through is never easy. Add in the fact that he's trying to do it while recovering from a blown Achilles, and it's near impossible. And for White himself, the young Sens rookie was having a terrific season. He, White, and Tkachuk were easily the Sens' best line all season long, and he was even on pace to potentially earn a nod for the Calder Trophy nomination. He wasn't going to win because Pettersson has that award completely locked up, but a trip to Vegas and a nomination wouldn't have been a bad consolation prize. Now with him out, that'll hurt his chances, not only because he misses time, but because we're not sure what he'll look like when he gets back. How far behind will he be after missing time? How healthy is he when he returns? Hopefully the answers are not behind and he's fully healthy. For now though, White will have to miss some time and Duchene will also be out for Saturday. And that is bad news. Now, for the good news. Having said that it was bad news that the Sens were without White, there was some good news to come out of it. Chris Tierney got his first taste of added responsibility last night, and he seemed to handle it pretty well. I thought Tierney was real solid last night, and that is good news. Obviously 2 goals are huge, as is the +3 rating, and the 3 shots, and the hit. But Tierney did a ton for the Sens last night. It wasn't just his production. On the first goal, he looked like a man against boys out there. He absolutely dominated, and he was not going to be denied. But there was also the time he played on the power play, at even strength, and the nearly 2 minutes he played killing penalties. The Kings finished the night 0 for 2. Tierney was 8 seconds away from nearly killing one of those penalties himself. All told, he played nearly 20 minutes of ice time and didn't look any worse for wear at the end. Now, with a day off, that will be huge as it will give him a breather, and he's going to need it. The Sens are going to need a huge game from him on Saturday. He gave them one last night as a start, and that is the good news. Next up, the Sens return to action on Saturday when they wrap up their 3-game California road trip with a matchup against former captain Erik Karlsson and the San Jose Sharks. It will be a bit of a homecoming game for the Sens too, as they feature nearly half a roster of former Sharks players. Yeah, I'll admit, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but of the 19 players that are going to see the ice on Saturday for the Sens, 4 of them are expected to be players who were members of the Sharks organization last year. Bodker was acquired in the Hoffman deal, and Tierney, DeMello, and Balcers were acquired in the Karlsson trade. Tierney, Bodker, and DeMello all enjoyed solid nights against the Sharks the last time out, specifically Bodker, who finished with a goal and 3 assists. So hopefully all 3 of them feel at home, and all 3 of them have real good nights against their former teams again. The contest will be the second and final meeting of the season between the two teams, with the Sens winning 6-2 in Ottawa on December 1st. As I mentioned, Bodker finished that night with 4 points, and Ryan and Pajärvi each chipped in with a goal and 1 assist. The Sens scored 3 goals in the second period that game, and 3 more in the third to run away with the win. The Sharks do come in red hot though, as they've won 5 straight and 7 of their last 8. Karlsson also had a 15-game point streak snap last night, so he comes in red hot as well. It won't be nearly as easy as last time. Slowing down Karlsson will be huge if the Sens hope to pick up a win. See you Saturday night.